Hi there everyone, welcome to part 2 now. So in part 1, let's have a quick refresh or a recap of what we covered, what we accomplished. So in part 1, we started with Robobryce's details. We started with a little bit about Robobryce, knowing that we have been in this industry for a long time. We are a business that's quoted. After that, we started to speak about warehouse handling, or they started to give us details about the warehouse handling industry overall. Under it, we looked at different storage options. Then we learned the goods to picker system, picker to goods system. Both we had started to speak about, and we had only started to speak about goods to picker or robot to goods system where I ended part 1. So why did I end part 1 over there? Because I wanted part 1 to be a step for you into the pre-scene analysis, a path for you into the more detailed pre-scene analysis, which I'm going to start in part 2. So please ensure that before you start with part number 2, you are comfortable with the industry analysis and with the pre-scene part 1. Only then it will add value to your preparation moving ahead. Only then pre-scene part 2 will be something that you understand well, that you understand in a better way. So what I want us to now focus on, what I want us to now understand and develop on is, I hope that the topics that I listed down in part 1 are the ones that you have made a note of them. For example, if I refer to E3 or P3 or F3 or any topic specifically in E3, P3 or F3, I hope you have written it down in your important topic lists. If you haven't already, please do this, because these will be important areas that you should have revised, and must be clear with before we start with mock questions. So I hope your important topic list is ready, and I hope you're clear with part number 1. Let's start with part 2. So we were speaking about carousels, which are used to store different products that can be brought to their operators' workstations to fulfill orders. Like the image that you see, there are rolling platforms. So whatever is needed is brought to the operator. Inventory is often held in storage bins that can be transported either vertically or horizontally, depending on the design of the carousel, to deliver the correct bins to operators' workstation. So you can design it for inventory to go up and down or horizontally, however you want to set it. Goods required for orders are collected and the carousels delivers the next bin. Horizontal carousels can be configured in a number of different ways. They can be highly efficient means of transporting goods around a warehouse and in facilitating the picking of goods. Horizontal carousels we are speaking about. Horizontal carousels can be adapted to store and present hanging garments or different types of containers other than open bins. So over here you see the example of an open bin, but you can configure them to however you want depending on your need. So this is the very, as we know, it's a very specific, it's an industry that's very specific to different businesses, because different businesses will have different needs, and naturally to serve them in a better way, you will have to meet those needs. Over here, it's very important to identify the costs of quality, because in this industry, margins are going to be tight. What if repeatedly the wrong goods are brought to the operators? That's time wasted, energy wasted, electricity wasted. Whole system becomes inefficient. So the costs of quality are very high. Businesses like ours should invest in prevention and in appraisal costs, so that internal failure and external failure costs are very, very low. Because once you send out something that a customer is not ordered, for example, then naturally your take back cost, reprocessing cost, all of that is very high. But if you've invested well to ensure that the carousel does not go wrong, that your robot does not pick wrong, if you've invested well in prevention, appraisal techniques, then the chances of internal and external failure reduce. So the cost of quality is something that I want you to keep in mind. Vertical carousels are essentially a type of industrial shelving that can be rotated so that the relevant item of inventory is brought to a convenient height. Pickers are less likely to be injured by or having to bend or stretch in order to retrieve items. Because it's vertical, it comes to your height. There is also no need to use ladders to retrieve items that are out of reach from the ground level. So if you're using vertical carousels, then automatically the risk is a little bit reduced, right? Because everything is coming to your own height. There's no need to do anything extra. Some carousels have robotic picking arms that collect the goods, potentially increasing the speed of picking and reducing the need for human operators. So this is where two robots are combining. The carousel, the vertical carousel, is bringing the item. A robotic picking arm is picking that item, making it faster, quicker than humans. So robot integration can also happen. Robots are generally more flexible than carousels. Carousels, as we learned, either can be vertical or horizontal. But a robot, if programmed well, can do any kind of job. So warehouse robots are electrically powered and can move independently. Some have the ability to lift items for picking. Warehouse robots that lack onboard intelligence are known as automated guided vehicles. They can operate automatically but require guidance. So if you are using a robot in a warehouse and it does not have its own intelligence, it's called an automated guided vehicle. It needs guidance even though it's automated. So robots or any software oriented products are susceptible to cyber security risk. Please remember this. Why do I mention it? Because let's say you supplied some robots which run on software, obviously. If somebody hacks that software, then a lot of damage can be caused. Physical damage, data damage, monetary damage, everything. So because we are speaking about robots, cybersecurity, robots, software, IT development, cybersecurity risk is a very, very prevalent risk in this market. So in your list of risks which I have asked you to mention, please add cybersecurity as well. So looking at a cybersecurity framework and a systematic cybersecurity management team could be the next step for our business as we continue to grow. When I actually start to speak about Robobryce, I want to see, are they giving importance to cybersecurity? Is cybersecurity something that they're really paying attention to? Because this is in my P3 syllabus. It's a top issue. Please be aware of this. Next, autonomous mobile robots are more flexible. Now this is autonomous mobile robots, AMRs. Those were AGVs. You need to know the difference. They have the ability to map their environments. They know where the obstruction is. They map it. So one significant difference between AGVs and AMRs is that the latter can bypass any obstacle. So AMR bypasses an obstacle. And AGV, if it encounters an obstacle, it will stop there. So what internal controls have we put in place to avoid technological or physical breaching issues for my business? Because if you don't have strong internal controls, then automatically you are leaving the door open for cybersecurity risk, physical risk, production risk, all kinds of risks. So the different types of controls, internal controls, which can be put in place, and the COSO model of internal control is something that you can have revised over here in your mind. So when we start speaking about Robobryce, you already know that, okay, this is the model, but this is what my company is doing. you'll be able to make that relation. So right now itself, you should have revised this particular aspect. Moving on then, robots can automate the goods to picker approach by collecting a pallet or bin containing goods from inventory and bringing it to the human operator's workstation. So robot can make it easier, we know that. The picker will then pick the parts required for the order or orders that are being processed before the robot returns the pallet or bin to its space in the warehouse. So this robot to goods picking system will be a lot more efficient and is a lot more efficient because robots can make this process automated and hence quicker. This system is more flexible than the carousel approach because several robots can be programmed to converge on any given workstation with sufficient spacing to prevent bottlenecks in picking. So it's much more flexible than the carousel. So again, the sustainability concept is being brought up here. How is our company reducing the use of electricity or batteries to power robots but still maintain efficiency in our production process? This will be key to look at because again, our business is traditionally already being criticized for being unsustainable. Large warehouses, so robots have to travel more electricity consumption, more battery consumption. What is my company doing to reduce this? Because that's one way to be different. That's one way which can be your comparative advantage. So how are we firstly trying to reduce our carbon footprint, and secondly, how are we reporting it? Are we using the GRI concept or the IR framework which is in our E3 and F3 syllabus, So how are we using those concepts for our reporting to tell the world or to tell our investors that yes, sustainability is something that we are looking at. It is something that is important for us. So sustainability, yes, what are we doing for sustainability? But second, how are we reporting it? Reporting in the GRI or IR framework is an important concept that does come up in the exams. Some robots can pick items from inventory and deliver them to the next stage in processing the order. This is referred to as robot to goods. All of us already figured this out. Robot picking the goods and bringing it to your human for final packing or whatever. Mobile robots can be guided in various different ways. First, linear route robots follow a path that is embedded in or placed on the warehouse floor. For example, in the form of rails or wires, you decide their path. Their path is set. They will not stray from that path. The wires can generate a magnetic field that enables robots to draw electrical power by induction, which eliminates the need for robots to return to their charging points again and again and again, because from those wires it keeps getting energy. So charging on the job while it's moving could be beneficial, as if the robot has to return to charging docks multiple times, efficiency is going to be affected. This method also reduces your risk because the robot is only following a set path. That set rail, that set wire train is what the robot is following. He's not going to stray from it. So much more safe. The flexibility of these robots is though limited by the need to lay additional rails or wires in order to create new routes in your warehouse. It's a large place, yes, but how many wires, how many routes will you be able to create? They cannot bypass obstacles that have been left on their route. They will stop over there, which suggests that they are better suited to AGVs rather than AMRs. So these linear route robots are guided vehicles. They need to be guided. They are not smart by themselves. They don't figure out the solution to problems by themselves, and hence they are AGVs. And naturally AGVs are generally cheaper than AMRs because they need some guide, they need some assistance. This is the first one, linear route robots, which is a AGV. Second, we have barcode guided mobile robots. So barcode guided mobile robots can navigate flexibly provided the environment they are operating in has the necessary barcodes in place. Lasers on the robots can be used to read labels, so they identify the objects that have been mapped, such as shelves and doors. The robots use electronic maps to plan their routes to that particular shelf that are collected and transported to the relevant workstation. Much more easier because it's very straightforward in terms of the map being ready. They just have to go and pick that particular product if it's barcoded correctly. So as we can see, this is a very technical process and very technologically oriented, because all of this is highly technological, correct? Getting the specifications and correct equipment right with quality and safety is very important for our business. The customer's need and requirements will have to be controlled carefully. The concept of considering all factors when making a decision can be kept in mind here, along with the principles of total quality management. You want quality in the entire process, from the robot to the actual process of picking the good. Plus, when you are making any decision, whether to use this product, not use this product, use this robot, not use this robot, develop a robot, purchase a company, anything, we need to look at all factors of decision making, which is your SFA analysis, a very important analysis in your E3 syllabus. Suitability, feasibility, acceptability needs to be looked at. So see how this system is working. There are shelf units in storage. These are all shelves. The robot is collecting the shelf unit. The entire shelf is being picked up by the robot, like you can see in the image over here. The robot getting the entire shelf to your workstation. The picker selects the goods from that particular shelf, and then the robot takes that shelf and goes back. The picker will select the goods and place it on the conveyor belt for transportation to dispatch. So you can see it's an easier process. The robot is getting the shelf for the picker. Much easier. Picker does not have to travel. Much more efficient. Simply picks and puts it on the conveyor belt. Then it goes ahead. So this was your barcode guided mobile robots. Third, you have laser guided mobile robots. They navigate using lasers to determine their position relative to objects. The simplest systems use mirrors that enable robots to determine their location on the floor, which is mapped, and so enables them to plan and follow a route. More sophisticated systems can create their own 3D maps, enabling them to identify objects, determining locations, and avoiding obstacles, because they are laser guided and they have a mapping system. They map the environment. These systems are often used on relatively large and heavy robots, such as autonomous forklifts. Not a forklift driven by a person, but autonomous. They are often used for the transportation of heavy loads, such as full pallets. You know those full wooden pallets that we spoke about earlier in the pre-scene? Laser guided technology is generally used over there. That's what they're telling us. That often makes them better suited to putting incoming goods in storage rather than picking the goods. So these forklifts, large ones, are better, so that you can put the incoming goods in storage rather than going and picking from that pallet. That type of application requires robots to follow predetermined routes, and so they may be better suited to AGVs for the sake of minimizing costs. AMRs that rely on laser guidance can be dangerous if they fail to detect human traffic. So AMRs, as we know, are more expensive. They come with flexibility because they can, map, avoid obstacles. But if something goes wrong in the technology, and if they are not able to detect human traffic, disasters can occur. So that risk can be dealt with by designating zones that robots are programmed to avoid and restricting pedestrian traffic to those zones. A question in the exam could be that an AMR or an AGV we supplied causes an accident or damage. The board of directors is blamed for this, and our governance system comes into the picture along with our internal controls. So they can ask you about governance, they can ask you about internal control, which is in your P3 syllabus, because all of this is pretty much, it is bound, it happens, let's say, because technology, yes, is good, but it's not 100% reliable. So we did three kinds of robot systems: your linear route, which has their paths, your barcode guided, and laser guided. Now to coordinating movements of mobile robots, because if robots end up working together, then naturally it can turn out to be a much more efficient process, right? And as you can see in the image here, if two robots are coordinating, it can be of great efficiency. So the nature of the application dictates the choice between AGVs and AMRs. What the business is, what use you are going to use the robots for, is very important to first understand. AMRs are preferable when robots require significant onboard intelligence, including the ability to plan their own routes. Now, if you have a system where you need your robot to plan its own route, then AMRs are suited. But AGVs are cheaper, but are restricted in the terms of onboard intelligence. They must be guided by a central system, like a route that you have set, or electrical cables that you have set. Their sensors can detect unexpected obstacles in their paths, but they can do no more than stop and transmit an error message. They can't navigate around it. So that's the disadvantage of an AGV, but it's obviously cheaper, but it's obviously something that is needed to be guided by a central system. AMRs, we know their advantages and disadvantages by now. But mobile robot coordination can be of three types. First, centralized system. Let's look at the text first, then we'll come back to this image. So centralized systems allow for the best possible use of robots and floor space. Software manages the operation of robots, allocating retrieval tasks to individual devices, setting paths and tracking locations. So if you have one centralized system where everything is being run, for example, you have your linear route robots, 10 different robots on one centralized system, it's so much more easier because you can use robots and the entire floor space, and everything is on one system. So you can see where robot 1 is, you can send robot 1, stop robot 1, whatever you want to do. The software prevents collisions and avoids holdups by plotting paths and determining optimal routing. So robot 2 has to use this route, robot 3 has to use this route. You can decide all of that because everything is on one system, and it can help you provide collisions as well. That would mean slowing a robot down or even making it stop briefly to permit another robot with a higher priority to pass. Easier because it's on one system. So this will be highly reliant on technology, and hence your cloud computing, because that's where all the data is stored. And hence your cloud computing, big data topics from E3 come into the picture here. Also, the need for strong internal controls to ensure softwares and robots are well integrated and that is secured, that data is safe, secured, is also very important. So increasing also, once I move on, you will see that centralized systems are much more complicated as the scale of the operation grows and the number of robots increase. 10 routes, 10 robots, manageable. 50 routes, 50 robots becomes difficult, because in that one warehouse, if there are 50 different routes, it's going to get complicated. So that constrains the number of mobile robots that can be operated simultaneously. So increasing the need for skilled staff and hence costs. Because if it's complicated, then you need well-educated, technology-backed staff to make sure that, solutions are found. So you will need skilled staff in this business. So capital intensive nature from the very beginning is still continuing. Second, you have distributed systems. Now distributed systems use AMRs. So completely autonomous. On their own, they find solutions. AMRs that have been programmed to operate with a high level of autonomy. That relieves the pressure on the centralized control software, because each robot determines its own path, manages conflicts independently. Centralized software is not controlling everything. Now, since any system that you use will be using data, the types of cyber security risks that your business can face and how you can protect yourself against the same must be kept in mind. P3 syllabus, because if it's one centralized system, it can be hacked. If it's individual AMRs, they are working on softwares that can be hacked. So what are we doing to be safe of cyber security risks? And third is your mixed systems. Now mixed systems can be faster than centralized. Centralized was only AGVs, distributed was only AMRs, mixed is a mix of both. They relieve the central control software of some of the burden of managing individual robots. Most complex automated warehouses focus on mixed control systems where you have some AMRs, some AGVs, so the whole pressure is not on the centralized system. And everything that we discussed has been put in this diagram as a summary for you. So centralized, all robots controlled by a central software. It utilizes your entire floor space and limited capacity. We know that. Distributed, on the other hand, robots make their own decisions. Conflicts can arise, which can cause delays if they are not able to figure out solutions. And it's highly scalable because robots control themselves. Mixed is a mix of both. This is mobile robot coordination. Next, we are going to human robot interactions. So some tasks can be carried out more efficiently by humans than by robots. For example, humans are better at removing plastic film from palletized goods or opening cardboard cartons and picking individual items from resulting opened case. So humans are better in that aspect, and naturally humans can do some jobs more efficiently than robots. Humans may be required to work in collaboration with robots. A human might be directed to a particular aisle to pick items for collection by a robot. So human is guided by the robot. In that case, the sequencing of tasks for both humans and robots has to be managed so as to optimize the use of both, minimizing idle time and the total distance traveled in the course of each shift. So the robot takes the human to the shelf, for example. The robot waits there for 15 seconds while the human picks the item, for example. The robot brings the human back. So sequencing of the task for the human, for the robot, both will have to be managed together so that there is less and less idle time. The design of robots should take into account the actions that will be undertaken by the warehouse staff, like I just explained. For example, loading and unloading robots by hand can create the risk of accidents if the loading platform is at an awkward height, or there is a risk of items falling and injuring employees. So safety issues are also important when mobile robots and humans work in the same areas. Collisions and dropped loads can lead to serious injuries. Robots can be fitted with sensors that enable them to identify the presence of humans. So, clear safety risk. I hope you have begun curating the list of risks that our company can face, which I told you in part 1 itself. Have a list where you are writing down the risks that my company can face because I am in this industry. Market for automated warehouse equipment. Now, interestingly, they have told us that the market for warehouse automation is growing, which we already know from my industry analysis. For example, the global market for AMRs is expected to increase as follows. So if you see in 2023, it's projected to cross 2 billion, but in 2028, it's going to grow 4 times to cross 8 billion. Very naturally, it's a large market and a large growth rate. So the AMRs market is the one that needs to be focused upon. So when I go to speaking about my company Robobryce, I want to see what Robobryce is doing to capture the AMRs market. Because if we are not capturing this market, if we are not focusing on capturing this market, then we are losing out on major growth opportunities. So these are all driving factors for my industry and company. A keen eye for changing external market trends will be very important in this industry, because if I don't keep an eye out for external factors such as competition, such as economy, such as government support, then I might miss out on great opportunities. So segmentation and external market analysis will be important here, again part of your E3 syllabus. So this was human and robot interactions that we did. Next, we are moving to warehouse management systems. So a warehouse management system consists of software that monitors movements of inventory within a warehouse and ensures that inventory is managed and used in an efficient and cost-effective manner. So warehouse management system, WMS, is a software. WMSs support tasks such as storing incoming inventory, picking items in order to fulfill the order. So naturally the human or the robot picks the item, but the software tells them which item is where and where it needs to be picked from. Automated warehouse equipment, including carousels and robots, must be capable of integrating with users' WMS systems. Because if the system is telling the robot that, okay, this is where the item is, but the robot is not able to follow it, what's the point of the robot? So standard systems as well as bespoke systems, both are ones which your robot and your carousels should be able to integrate with. So warehouse management system companies will be important stakeholders for our business, as without integration, our products will not add much value. It's very simple, right? Because warehouse management system companies, if you're not working with them, then how is your warehouse equipment going to be what your customer needs? So they become a very important stakeholder for your business. Warehouse management system companies who develop the system. So choosing the correct WMS is also important, as if the integration is not good, then our products will not be effective in their jobs. Strategic decision making and your strategic decision making models are important here, making the right strategic choice. This is in your E3 syllabus. Also, I'm thinking about expansion opportunity. Ansof's matrix, E3 again. Can Robobryce make its own WMS, or can it purchase a company who makes WMSs and then integrate it with my own product? That is the way forward. In the industry analysis also we read that companies are looking at acquisitions for staying ahead. So it could be something that you can keep in mind. So throughout this pre-scene analysis, I am giving you great ideas and great relations to keep in your mind, which you will be able to use naturally to understand the company. But second, to include in your mock questions or answers that you write with me to gain marks, which you can then follow and then write in the actual case study exam as well. Because this is all knowing your company. The better you know your company, the more you can suggest, the more business skills you can showcase, and the more integrated or specific your answer will be to Robobryce. That is why so much detail is being given to you, so that you can take good ideas and replicate it when the time comes in mock questions. So now we are starting to see the far-fetching, far-reaching market opportunities and alternatives that warehouse management has access to. So many options, storage options, picker to goods, goods to picker, robot options. It is a big market and a big industry. Focusing on the right areas and using data is a key competency here. Now we already know that this is a huge market worldwide and also a big market in Testland. This is also an indication that other markets around the world have lucrative expansion opportunities, something that we have learned in the industry analysis. So please don't forget that. Keep it in your mind. Now we are finally starting to speak about our company, which is Robobryce. Up until now, we were under the umbrella of warehouse handling, where we learnt about storage options, picker to goods system, goods to picker system, your warehouse management systems. We learnt about all of that. Keeping that in mind, plus keeping the industry analysis in mind, plus keeping the pre-scene part 1 in mind, let's start with actually analyzing and learning about our company, which is Robobryce. So Robobryce was established in 1952 as a manufacturer of warehouse fittings and equipment. So our traditional job is to manufacture warehouse fittings and warehouse equipment. But a very important notification here, or one important thing to note, is that we have been in the market since 1952. So we have already been in the market for 71 years. Think logically, do you know any company in the whole wide world that has existed in the market for 70 plus years and is not been successful? It would be very odd, right? So because we have succeeded for such or been in the market for such a long time, it says that we may have garnered some goodwill or some resistance ability, that we have been able to thrive and grow during this period. This is my competitive advantage. Information which you can use in your answer. In your answer, you can start it or end it by saying, we have been in the market for 70 plus years, so we know how the market functions. This is something which we can draw strength from, and then blah, 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 related to the question, related to whatever they have asked. But if you use material from the pre-scene and present it to them, then the examiner knows that, okay, this person has gone through the pre-scene. This person has analyzed the pre-scene. This person knows the details of our company. It gives you integration marks. So all of this information has not been put for decoration. It's something which you can absorb, learn about our company, and then use it in your answers naturally. So every market goes through stages of booms and recessions in 71 years. And if we have survived the same and grown during this phase, it says a lot about the company. That, every market in 71 years goes through ups, goes through downs, company has survived and grown. So it's a company that's reputable. Since we are in the market for a long time, we are bound to have a reputation. So your reputation risk also comes into the picture. Add it to the list of risks. Developments in manufacturing and in traditional retailing, such as the introduction of supermarkets, encouraged the construction of large warehouses. The company has grown steadily since then, being quoted on the Tesla Stock Exchange in 1971. So naturally, the company was established in 1952. In 19 years, it became large enough to be listed on the stock exchange. So good, rapid growth. Since we are a listed company, questions can easily come out about raising capital, debt, equity balance, decision on WACC, decision on acquisition. Along these lines, these are common questions that are asked, especially when it's a listed company. And this is in your F3 syllabus. Overlaps with P3, but majorly F3 syllabus. Robobryce's initial product range focused on carts and similar devices that could be used to transport goods. So if you see the image here, traditional carts were made by us initially. These were designed to be pushed or pulled by human operators. Naturally, 1970s, this was the trend. Over the time, the product range was expanded to include shelves and forklift trucks. All production took place at a factory in central Tesland, everything in one factory. So a single production facility, meaning we were rather reliant on one production unit to run all production assembly functions. Just pause and think. For such a big company, is it absolutely advantageous to have one single centralized unit? Pause this video. Think benefits and limitations. Deeper in the pre-scene, we have new innovative information, or new information has been given to us. But right now, let's pause the video here and think benefits and limitations of having one single centralized unit. I'm sure all of you will get ideas in your mind. Only then move on. Only then move to the next part. So can this site continue to meet the demand as we continue to grow? These are questions which should start to come to your mind. Robobryce has always taken an innovative approach to product development. So very good competitive advantage for my company, because I have already focused on research and development. And in my industry analysis, we have already seen the importance of research and development for this particular industry. So its shelves are highly adaptable and can be assembled and configured in many different ways. Our product is adaptable. They can also be supplied with specialist fittings that enable them to store unusual products such as rolls of carpet. So according to the business, we are able to mold our products, which is a good thing, a competitive advantage for us. It has several different models of forklifts, including conventional, high reach, narrow aisle. Different forklift options are also present. And an image of the forklift has been given to you just for reference. So from the first two pages, we have been in the market for a long time. We have the reputation, one single factory, innovative approach, and many different products is what we keep in mind from the first two pages itself. Next, Robobryce works closely with clients, advising them on the design of their warehouses so that they can be optimized in terms of capacity and efficiency. We already know, since we work closely with clients, because until and unless we understand their requirement, we understand what they need, we can't serve them. So since you are closely working with clients, the client relationship and lifetime customer value will be of high importance. Once you are working with them closely, once you have a very close-knit system, then for them also changing their warehouse management, warehouse picking equipment manager will be difficult, because their warehouse will be made in such a way that your products can be optimally used, can be optimally used in that situation. So for them also, changing will be difficult, and for you it's a good advantage because that client will stay with you for a longer time. So building relationships with clients, having specialized client relationship managers will be very, very important for this business. Robobryce introduced its first autonomous products in 2005. So since we got listed in, I think, 1970s, 1971, the first innovative new change was brought in 2005, which is first autonomous products. These proved commercially attractive despite the limited capabilities of the products that were available on the market. So even though these were new, these were attractive. Warehouse operations were changing because of developments in logistics and in particular the growth of online retailing. So we noticed this change in the market. We noticed that online retailing is growing. I will need autonomous products. So I developed them and introduced them. Warehouse operators found themselves having to pick individual units instead of full pallets because that's the nature of online retailing, as had often been the case before. So constantly changing and fast moving is the nature of this industry. Organizations must be flexible and inventive to meet the customer's needs and beat your competitors. Being a first mover for any new technology can be considered important here, and we as a company have done the same. There were limited capabilities of products in the market, so we came up with the first autonomous product which ended up being commercially attractive, which means it was a success. So this is my competitive advantage, and you can reference this as part of your answer to showcase the credentials of your company. So I'm a company that's investing in research and development. I'm a company who's taking the risks. I'm a company who's coming up with new innovative products. Keep this in mind and use this in your mock questions for integrative marks. By 2008, so in 3 years, the demand for autonomous products had grown to a point where Robobryce decided to relocate production of its existing range of non-automated and non-autonomous products to a factory in Darland. So my traditional products, remember I have 2 product lines, traditional and new. Traditional is my forklifts, carts that I have made from the very beginning. New is these autonomous products. So in 2008, demand for autonomous products became very, very prevalent. So what we decided was my traditional existing range of non-automated, non-autonomous products went to or was shifted to Darland for production purposes. Very important, Darland is a new country altogether. So new country is equal to new currency. Currency risk and its management comes into the picture because very clearly now you have operations in 2 currencies. So the currency risk will become prevalent. New country also means new employment rules and government rules come into the picture. So political risk, legal risk increases. Third, new country. So transfer pricing issues come into the picture because if you are making in Darland and then transferring it to my Tesland subsidiary or to my Tesland company and then selling it in Tesland, then naturally there is internal transfer of goods. Because it's 2 different countries, there will be 2 different legal rules, legal regulations, and we don't want to look like a multinational company that's trying to avoid tax by not charging arm's length prices for interior or internal transfers, because that's what transfer pricing is all about, right? Reducing your tax in high tax countries and increasing your tax in low tax countries so that for overall the company you benefit. Tax is an expense, you want to reduce it, but not by transfer pricing. It's not very ethical from the CIMA perspective. Every company in the world does it, but from the CIMA perspective, it's not very ethical and something that has been pointed out in our P3 syllabus. That is why I am bringing it up to you. So transfer pricing, risks, P3 syllabus, currency risk and the management of currency risk, F3 syllabus. And I have taught you how you are supposed to study technical topics in F3 in the second class itself. So I hope you very carefully gone through that. But this is a very important revelation that they have made over here, and I will consider this as a top issue because currency risk management often comes up in the exam. Now, Darland has a relatively weak economy and wages are low. Despite that, the country's educational standards are quite high, enabling Robobryce to recruit skilled production staff for less than what they would have paid to staff in Tesland. So it's very natural why we chose Darland. Now it's very natural why you choose another country rather than your home country. Why would you do this? Because you want to take benefits of what that country has to offer. And over here, this country is offering me weak economy, wages being low, so their currency will be less than mine. Educational standards are high and good staff. So low production costs would have been a major decision to move production to Darland. And this is possible because we would have had a strong external market analysis system or a strong external market let's say research system, and that is why we found out based on the Porter's diamond that Darland is good on this. Darland's comparative advantage is this. Tesland's comparative advantage is this. So moving to Darland makes sense. So we already have that good backing at our end. The Darland factory continues to operate because there is a strong demand for its products. So Darland, we have shifted our existing traditional products to Darland, but it's still operating because there is strong demand for those products. Warehouses vary in size and it can be more efficient to use human operators rather than robots to run small warehouses, taking instructions from the WMS. So your warehouse management system in any case is needed and will be needed. Large warehouses may rely on mobile robots to facilitate inventory movements, but they often use traditional shelving for storage and low technology devices such as conveyor belts for transportation. So yes, your Tesland factory is making your autonomous robots, but your traditional products like shelves, like your conveyor belts, like forklifts, all of this will still be needed. So the Darland factory is operating because there is strong demand. Most of the production equipment at Robobryce's Tesland factory was shipped to Darland. The Tesland factory was then re-equipped for the manufacture of high precision, autonomous equipment. So already that capital expense has been made in this particular year when the Darland factory was open, which is 2008. The Tesland factory makes extensive use of industrial robots for manufacturing itself and assembly tasks and for handling of inventory and finished goods. So clear question on capital raising can be seen here because they can tell you now we are opening up a new factory. Capital will be needed, for example. Also, you also need to keep in mind the decision-making criteria when choosing a particular project. The SFA can be studied over here. When you're choosing one project over the another, I've already discussed this top issue, SFA. Robobryce currently employs 12,000 production staff. of whom 7,000 are based in Darland and 5,000 in Tesland. So very naturally, we already know the size of our operations is large, and large. The company is one of the world's largest manufacturers of automated warehouse systems. There, they've told you that we are one of the largest manufacturers in the world. So we are a big company, well-reputed company, and been in the market for a very long time. It designs warehouse solutions on a global basis, supplying hardware and software in order to implement its designs. Again, my internal controls, quality controls will have to be in place due to heavy regulations and reputation at stake, because we are designing warehouse solutions on a global basis, not only for Tesland customers, for Darland customers as well, for customers nearby in nearby countries or on the globe as well. If they ask us for solutions, if they ask us for equipment, we are happy to provide the same. So something to keep in mind as in terms of regulations and reputation, which is at stake over here. Now to my products. So Robobryce offers a wide range of products for use in warehouses. So it further shows the nature of our company. Risk seeking to stay ahead of the market. Understanding which products are in what stage of the product life cycle will be important over here to make divestment or investment decisions. Because if one product is my star product, I want to invest further. But if one product is declining, I want to slowly divest from it. But I'll have to do that study first as to which product is where in the life cycle. So can consider the BCG matrix here, Boston Consulting Group matrix, which is from the E3 syllabus. So first, Darland factory. Darland is the newer factory, remember. Tesland has also been refurbished, but it was the traditional one factory that we had. So the Darland factory makes forklift trucks, primarily optimized for use in warehouses, hand trucks, both open trucks and trucks with forks that can lift and transport pallets. Robobryce's hand trucks are electrically powered but require a human operator to steer them. So they are electrically powered. Sustainability, remember. Third, shelving. Modular shelving units that can be built into a variety of configurations depending on the warehouse. Then you have Tesland factory. This makes horizontal carousels, primarily suited to the storage and retrieval of limited quantities of goods. Vertical carousels, primarily suited to store and retrieve goods on shelves from floor to ceiling. And mobile robots. Robobryce offers a wide range of mobile robots, including both AGVs and AMRs. It has robots suited to goods to picking and robots to goods roles. Whatever the role, the robot is available. Robobryce's robots are regarded as being amongst the most technologically advanced in the market. This will be our competitive advantage and something that we market or work towards. This can be your marketing strategy as well. So my Darland factory looking at 3 things, Tesland factory looking at 3 newer areas of the market which we know are growing because they have told that to us. We studied that before, where from 2 billion to 8 billion the market is projected to move towards for AMRs. So the Tesland factory is looking at the more growth oriented market. In addition to manufacturing warehouse hardware, Robobryce provides customers with extensive consulting support in the design and installation and ongoing support of warehouse systems. The company employs 800 business advisors who can assist at all stages of the design of a new warehouse or the upgrading of a new facility. Remember, earlier on in the pre-scene, we learnt that you need to have good business advisors. Only then your client relationship will be locked in, and only then the client will want to work with you. Because if you don't give them bespoke solutions, if you don't give them specific solutions for them and their business, then they don't want to work with you. This has been identified by my company, and they are telling us that the company employs 800 business advisors. It's a good thing, comparative advantage. The support is vital because of the need to integrate autonomous devices with warehouse management systems. We already know both need to work together, your autonomous devices and the WMS. Now, one thing I'm thinking over here is the suggestions and instructions that our business advisors will provide will be very important, because ethics can be tested over here. They always need to follow the CIMA code of ethics of integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional behavior, professional competence, and due care. If any of these are lacking in their dealing, in their relationship with the client, it will be of great significance for our company in a bad way, because ethics are now becoming more and more and more important. This is in your E3 syllabus, and it's a top issue which comes up in the exam again and again and again. Robobryce has extensive research and development activities focused mainly on autonomous products. Mechanical engineers aim to develop the physical attributes of autonomous products. So their physicalities, how they look, how they'll feel. These include enhancing the precision with which products can be picked without causing damage, and the capacity of autonomous products, enabling them to carry larger quantities but safely. So they are looking at physical attributes. How can my product carry more without causing damage? Second, we have electrical engineers who are interested in powering products that rely on electric motors, whether they are autonomous or non-autonomous. Many of Robobryce's products are powered by batteries and must be recharged at regular intervals. So electrical engineers obviously are looking at development of these batteries, which are which need to be charged at regular intervals. So increasing battery life can be one of their goals. Ideally, these products should operate for as long as possible between charges, and the charging times should be as rapid as possible. So this is what electrical engineers are trying to focus on. Third, we have software engineers. Software engineers design software and write the test program code. Robobryce's software engineers focus on autonomous products with a view to adding capability and enhancing reliability. Hardware developments such as new sensors and more powerful processors create a need for software upgrades that can make use of these opportunities. Robobryce must also maintain its software to ensure that its products can continue to operate in conjunction with warehouse management systems. So all three are very important for us. Software engineers, electrical engineers, and mechanical engineers, all three are vital. Protection of this data will be important, bringing in your data protection topics. Robobryce's research laboratory is located in a large building beside the Testland factory. The company employs 900 research and development staff, split equally between mechanical, electrical, and software. So 300 for mechanical, 300 for electrical, 300 for software, specifically looking at research and development. So a big commitment has been made to research and development because this much money is being spent on research and development. So it's a competitive advantage for my business that I am always trying to stay ahead by having a very good research team. This was about our products. Now they have given us some extracts from Robobryce's annual report. So they are telling us that Robobryce has, obviously it's a listed company, so they are releasing annual reports. They've given us one extract from that report. And this is very important because it speaks about the mission, the vision, and the values of this company. Now you'll tell me, why is mission important? Mission is important because it's the actual reason for the existence of the company. So Robobryce's mission is to pursue the growth of our business in a manner that advances social well-being. This is the reason why the company exists. So naturally, all the strategies that you make have to be in line with this mission. Because if they are not in line with this mission, then you are not going to be able to achieve the reason of existence for your company. So Robobryce's mission is to pursue the growth of our business. Yes, grow your business, but enhancing social well-being. So safety taken care of, easy picking of goods taken care of, efficiency in the process taken care of while growing the business. That's my mission. Again, ideas that you can keep in your mind and include in your mock question writing when you get there. You can start your answer or end your answer by saying that our mission is to pursue growth in a socially advanced way. Then you can go on to, start to write the answer or relate to the question, whatever you want to do. It will add great integration value to your answer. So very important that you again go through the pre-scene multiple times. Keep reading it, keep going through it so that these ideas are fit in your mind and you can use them when the time comes. You can make use of them when the time comes. So Robobryce's mission is to pursue the growth of our business in a manner that advances social well-being. Our vision, on the other hand, is what you want to achieve, where you want to reach in the future. So Robobryce's vision is to enhance the efficiency of our customers and in so doing add value to society. So in the future, I want to add value to the society plus efficiency of our customers. So this is something that you are working towards, that you want to achieve in the future. So any new strategy, any new goal that you set has to be in line with this vision. Your vision and your strategies can't be different. They have to align. So mission, important to understand, vision, important to understand, and values. We have already gone through our values of enhancing social well-being by bringing new products which are innovative, meeting stakeholder needs. Mendelow's matrix can be used here to understand which stakeholder is most important for the business. And third, innovation. All three values have already been spoken about, but you can remember them. You can remember words from the mission, remember words from the vision, remember words from the values, and use them when the time comes and in your mock questions to gain marks. Now to Robobryce's board of directors. One by one, we are going through the board of directors. Now, firstly, it's very important to understand the board of directors of our company because they are the people who are pushing the company forward. They are the people who are actually giving direction to the company. They are making the decisions for our company. So first reason, we need to understand the directors because they are leading the company. So their mindset, their background will be very important to know. Secondly, one way which I like to suggest my students for integration is by using director names. So for example, let's start with Professor Sudhakar Patnaik, who is the non-executive chairman. The roles of a CEO and the roles of a chairman are very clearly defined in your P3 syllabus. So firstly, you should know that. What are the roles of a chairman? What are the roles of the CEO? You should know that. Sudhakar is a mechanical engineer by training. He taught engineering at a prestigious university, rising to the rank of professor and dean of engineering at that university of Central City. He served as principal of the university before retiring from academic life and joining Robobryce's board. Sudhakar is a member of the Council of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers of Tesland. So he has great knowledge of being a mechanical engineer. Secondly, he can advise my mechanical engineering research team, which has 300 people. So his expertise in technical understanding will come in handy when dealing with mechanical issues and issues surrounding engineering problems. Also, his knowledge about the external market will be important as he has been in the industry for a very long time, rising through the ranks. Being a member of the council also suggests that he is well respected, and will have good industry contacts. So could be a scenario where, let's say anywhere, if you're talking about mechanical engineering or engineering improvements or advice regarding engineering, you can use Sudhakar's name. For example, if the question says that we have now brought a new mechanical improvement, for this we need to raise capital, for example, you can start your answer or end your answer by saying, let's consult with Sudhakar Patnaik because he is the mechanical engineering expert for our business and he is the non-executive chairman. By doing this one line, you told the examiner that you have gone through the pre-scene. So knowing the director and knowing the competency or the skill of that director is very, very important. Because if you don't know what a director is good at, you won't be able to integrate well and you won't be able to get integration marks. So I suggest know the director and know his skill, what he is good at. Knowing the role of a chairman, chairman's role is to run the board, CEO's role is to run the organization day to day. This is there in your P3 syllabus, you should know this. So we have Sudhakar as the non-executive chairman. Next, you have Eva Durska, who is the Chief Executive Officer, CEO. Eva worked for a major retailer as a logistics manager, eventually reaching the position of head of logistics before leaving the company to join Robobryce as director of research. She has served as Robobryce Chief Executive Officer since 2021. So Eva is a big asset for the company because she has logistics knowledge. She knows how logistics work. She signed up with Robobryce as a director of research and has now become CEO. So knows all the business details because of her logistics background. And we already know how important business advisors are for our business. So she will know the importance of logistics management and relationship with clients. This is important for a CEO who is responsible for company operations. She has also worked as a research development director, which means she has knowledge about the technicalities of our company's systems and the importance of research for my company. So her skill is in knowing logistics, is in understanding relations and knowing the importance of research. Next, we have Eamon Macaulay, Chief Operating Officer, looks at operations. Eamon studied electrical engineering at university. So we have mechanical engineering background in our chairman, electrical engineering background in operation officer. So he joined Robobryce in 1998, initially as a member of research and development before moving into production. He completed a part-time MBA degree during that period. Eamon managed Robobryce's autonomous products factory from 2014 until 2022 when he was promoted to COO. So he managed the autonomous products factory. He knows the operations of the factory. He has an MBA and he has electrical engineering background. So arguably one of the most important parts of our business, because our operations are what define my business. So his past work experience, where he has worked through the ranks with us, is a big plus for us. So Eamon Macaulay, Chief Operations Officer. Next, we have Phyllis Yildiz, Chief Finance Officer, who you are going to be reporting to and who is going to be your point of contact in the board. So Phyllis is a professionally qualified accountant. She has had a varied career working for several organizations in finance related roles. She has good background. She was chief accountant at a major manufacturer of construction equipment before she joined Robobryce as head of treasury and then promoted to CFO in 2020. So she has worked in many varied roles in other leading companies. So she knows how a large manufacturing industry works, could help us manage and deal with finance related issues because major construction equipment manufacturing businesses are also capital intensive. So she has that background with her. Her presence and experience in a leading role could prove to be important. And again, she is an expert in her area. She is professionally qualified. Good for the business. Next, we have Dr. Hassan Khataf, Director of Research. Hassan studied data science at Tesland's capital city university and completed his PhD at the University of Central City, where he taught and researched until 2016. He left academic life to join Robobryce as a research manager. So he has that, again, great PhD background, technical background to support with research. Hassan was promoted to director in 2019. So his background and expertise in the subject of research is invaluable for us. Any technical matter or new developments discussion could go through Hassan. So whenever you're speaking about new developments, you can say that Hassan has a PhD. So we can take his advice on how the development should be taken further. Next, we have Hu Shijin, Human Resource Director, or Hao Shijin, however you want to say it. So Hao studied Human Resource Management at university. She worked in the personal department of a major bank after graduating, during which time she completed the Tesland Institute of Personal Development qualification. So she has personnel and development qualification from a Tesland Institute. Hao spent 5 years as head of human resources at Tesland's non-autonomous products factory in Darland before returning to Tesland as head of human resources. So she worked for 5 years in human resources in our factory before returning to Tesland as a head of human resources on the board of directors. She has a seat on the board of directors. She was promoted very recently in 2023. So she's the recently appointed director, but her knowledge about the Darland and Tesland function will be important. For our business, HR is key. We hire a huge number of people. We have huge people in production, huge people in admin, huge people in research. So hiring the right people for any business is important. And it's good to see that this function has representation on the board. So HR has been given great importance by representation on the board. And if I look at all of these executive directors, one very distinct thing which is missing is an IT director. Now, for a business that is heavily dependent on IT and a market overall, which is heavily dependent on data and the use of data, if we don't have IT representation on the board, means that IT is not at the center of our strategies, which again could mean that we may be missing out on huge opportunities. Somebody is doing the IT function, yes, but it does not have your board representation. So IT is very important for our business, as we have discussed above. Appointing a CIO, Chief Information Officer, could be an exam situation. You should know the roles of a CIO. You should know the responsibilities of a CIO in your P3 syllabus. This can definitely come up in the exam. Next, we have Didier Aru, Senior Independent Director. So Didier had a successful legal career working for one of Tesland's largest commercial law firms. He was a partner of the firm and served as managing partner for 3 years before retiring. Didier joined in 2020. So his background and expertise in the subject of problem solving and law is going to be invaluable for us. If we have any legal issues or any legal advice that we need, we have internal experts in Didier. So any legal technical matter discussions could go through him. Next, we have Nina Isabel Correa, again non-executive director. Nina worked as an economist at the head office of a major bank for much of her career. She was involved in policy development for much of her time. She retired from banking in 2016, spending 4 years as a professor of economics at Capital City University. She joined the board in 2020. So, economics expert. So, she will be an expert of external market studies, market analysis. And we already know that this is very important for my business. So, any technical matter discussions about external markets, market trends, areas that we should focus on could go through her. Then we have Nigel Taylor. So Nigel spent most of his career working for a major management consulting firm. That involved significant overseas travel and gave him a broad experience of working with manufacturing companies on a consultation basis. Nigel joined Robobryce's board when he retired from that consulting firm. He has traveled, so his global government rule understanding, global problem dealing, global management of multinational companies could come in invaluable, because that's my situation right now. So overall, we can see, and if I look at board responsibilities, we have 4 executive directors plus 1 CEO who is Eva. So you should know the competencies of each director. You should know what each director is good at, what each director's skill is in your own words, so that you can use it for integration purposes when you go to mock questions. So if I look at this overall layout that they have given me, Eamon, who is the operations officer, is looking at production, marketing and integration of strategic plans. Phyllis, who is the finance officer, is looking at treasury, management accounting, financial accounting. Hassan, director of research, is looking at software maintenance, physical product development, product safety. How Srijin, human resource director, looking at staffing matters, factory health and safety. So if you look at software maintenance and development, which I will term in the IT section, could be something that is moved under the role of a chief information officer if we were to invest in that, if we were to know the importance of that, if we were to look into investing in a big data system. So that is one suggestion and one thing which I noticed in this structure that they've given us. But if you look at it overall, it's a very functional structure where there are different departments and each department looks at their area. For example, Phyllis looks at finance. Eamon looks at operations. How looks at human resource. Each department looks at their area. But as we expand, is this functional structure going to be enough? Will we need to move to a divisional structure? Like let's say a globally based divisional structure. For example, in for example, Tesland, there is one division. In Darland, there is one division. If we expand somewhere else, there is one division. As we grow, is there a possibility to move to a divisional based structure or a matrix structure? Something that I'm putting in your mind over here. It is not specifically part of E3, P3 and F3, but I'm just putting it to your mind here because it's a possibility. After that, they have also told us that we have some non-executive directors. We have 3 non-executive directors plus a chairman. And over here, they have given us who is part of which committee. Now, committees are very important from the corporate governance perspective. So let's take an overall view first. After looking at all the directors, we can clearly see that all directors are very highly qualified, they are experienced, and they fully merit their position. They are in that position because of their merit. Some of the directors are relatively new to their positions, but seem to be well educated and experienced to propel the company forward. If we look at the structure of the organization, we can see the corporate governance code is not being honored in every aspect. Corporate governance from your P3 syllabus becomes important here. The first requirement for corporate governance is you should have equal number of executive and non-executive directors. We have 4 executives plus CEO. We have 3 non-executives plus chairman. There is an imbalance in the board here. Generally, equal number is required so that to challenge the executives, there are equal number of non-executives as well to ensure that the company is being run in the interests of the shareholders and not the interest of the directors. So equal number is recommended. So one thing that is not being met. Second requirement is CEO and chairman has to be different people so that power is not consolidated by one person. That we are honoring because CEO is Eva, non-executive chairman is Sudhakar. So different people. That's good. Requirement of corporate governance is to have audit committee, remuneration committee, nominations committee and risk committee. So it's a good thing that we have all 4 committees that is being met. But there is a rule in your P3 syllabus. It's been very clearly mentioned. All the committees for a big company must have 3 independent non-executive directors, part of them. If you see these committees, you will see that only in the remuneration committee, 3 independent non-executive directors are present. For example, in the remuneration committee, Didier is part, Nina is part, Nigel is part. But in all the other committees, there are 2 independent non-executive directors plus the chairman. Chairman can be part of the committee, yes. He cannot be the chair of that committee. But for a large organization, it is recommended that you have 3 independent non-executive directors, part of each committee, and then you can have the chairman being part of that committee, that's fine. But if you look at audit committee, there is only Nina and Nigel plus Sudhakar. If you look at the risk committee, there is Didier and Nigel plus Sudhakar. So there is 2 independent non-executive directors plus the chairman. Only remunerations committee is meeting this threshold. So in the future, this could be a corporate governance issue which I have brought up to you. As we are a big company, appointing another non-executive director who could be part of the committees and would balance out the imbalance in the number of executives and non-executives could be seen as the way forward. A new NED could be seen as the way forward. This is a top issue which we have to keep in mind because that's the situation that they have given us. After that, standard information. The chief internal auditor reports to the convener of the audit committee. So internal auditor reports to the head of audit committee. Audit committee will then take it forward to the board if something is important. So this is good and standard practice, but it's very important to know the roles of different committees. What is the role of audit committee, risk committee, nominations committee, remuneration committee in your P3 syllabus? What is the role of a chief internal auditor? In your P3 syllabus, this has been given. It's very, very important. After this, we have Robobryce's principal risks. So they have mentioned some principal risks for my company. First risk is customer demand within key business segments can be cyclical. Some months it's high, some months is low. So many customers are in industries that are highly competitive. So what is Robobryce doing to mitigate this? Robobryce pays close attention to all available information about customers. The company also aims to be flexible and adaptable. So keeping a key external market analysis, keeping a key external market eye to serve our customers is my mitigation strategy here. Okay, this is my key risk 1. Second key risk, customer projects can be significant and can take a long time to implement, and this can cause very many problems. What are we doing for this? Robobryce assesses risks on a case-by-case basis. Contracts are conducted in accordance with detailed specifications that allow for possibilities such as requests for changes in deliverables. So you are keeping your contracts flexible to deal with this problem. Fine. Third risk, Robobryce does business in many different countries, both as supplier of warehouse products and systems and as a buyer of parts and materials. Very clear currency risk topic, currency risk question can come up over here. That's what they have pointed out as well. We hedge currency risks as appropriate. So currency risk management from F3 becomes ever more important. Next, Robobryce faces significant IT risks, both in terms of its own operations and in respect of design and installation of automated warehouse systems. So IT risk, again, pointed out to you. What are we doing for internal controls? What are the different IT risks? How can we manage IT risks? We have dealt with this. The company depends heavily on its technical and management staff to ensure that it remains at the forefront of product development and can ensure that there is capacity to meet and maintain the systems which customers demand. So, key situation is, let's say your CEO leaves, your COO is leaving. This can happen in a business, right? So what we are doing is we are keeping staff salaries under constant review. The company also invests heavily in training and staff development. So major risks have been mentioned here and mitigation of those risks has also been mentioned. But guess what? If you have been preparing a list from the beginning of major risks that my company faces, which I told you to, you will see that they overlap. But my question is, are these the only risks we face? No. There are many other risks such as personal data risk, increasing flexibility in management structure, change in government policies, political risk, reputation risk, litigation risk, staff turnover risk, financial risks. So your list of risks which you have been curating becomes important over here. And a discussion on risks brings in the topic of the COSO ERM framework. So enterprise risk management. It also brings the discussion of the COSO model of internal controls. These theories could come in handy here, and this is part of your P3 syllabus. That is why I'm stating importance of the same. This brings us to the end of part 2 of our pre-scene analysis. Please very carefully go through part 2 and only then move on to part 3. That's all for part 2.